Well, hi, it's Jan at Learn English with Be Global. And today we're going to learn about 8 major word groups in the English language. Now, this may be a brand new topic to some of you, or this may be a good review. Well, why should we learn about word groups? Well, identifying word groups in a sentence, it secures a correct understanding of the meaning of the sentence. For this video, I'm going to use traveling as the context for all of our examples, because I imagine that since you're trying to learn English, you would like to travel someday, and I hope that it will be relevant to you as we learn these word groups. Let's begin. What's our first word group? Nouns. Nouns are persons, places, things, or ideas. The following are some examples of nouns. The first example: manners are important when traveling. The plane flew. Sarah read the signs. The Grand Canyon is a beautiful place. So, where are the nouns and what are the nouns? Well, manners here is a noun because it's an idea. Manners are important when traveling. The plane is a noun because it's a thing. Sarah is a noun because this word is a person, represents a person. And the Grand Canyon is a noun because it is a thing. It is a place and a thing. So what's our second word group? It's verbs. So verbs show action. Here are some examples of verbs in a sentence. The flight attendant talked to the passenger. I see many taxis in New York. They have been to get their passport. So we're looking for the action going on in the sentence when we look to identify verbs. So the first sentence, the action is happening from who? The flight attendant. She's talking. She did talk, right? The action in this sentence is coming from the person seeing. I see. That's the action, seeing. And the last one, they have been to get their passport. And even though this is in the past, it's the action of going. It's just in the past. So that's what a verb is. A verb shows action. So what is our third word group? It's pronouns. And pronouns replace nouns. Some examples of pronouns are he, the man, is flying with her, the woman. Or they are checking into it, a hotel. Or it is why I travel. It represents an idea, adventure. So we'll review that. He is replacing a noun, the man. Remember we talked about a man is a person, place, thing, or idea. So he, the pronoun, is just replacing that person. So you can speak faster. Pronouns are great like that. So he is flying with her. The woman, her, is also a pronoun representing The woman, the noun, the woman. So instead of saying the man is flying with the woman, you can just say he is flying with her. Much quicker, right? So that's all these word groups represent. They represents a group of people, more than one. They are checking into it, a hotel. So they, instead of saying that group of people every single time, you can just say they. They, the pronoun, replaces the noun, those people, are checking in to it, a hotel. So you can say they are checking into the hotel, or you can say they are just checking into it, meaning the hotel. The hotel is the noun, right? It represents the noun, or replaces the noun, actually. Both of those. Now it, down here we looked at earlier, it, this pronoun it, represents and replaces the idea of adventure. And adventure is an idea that is, remember, a noun. Nouns can be ideas. So adventure is an idea. Adventure is why I travel. Or you can just say, it is why I travel. And those are pronouns. Word group, it's adjectives. Adjectives describe a noun or a pronoun. Here are some examples. Colorado has a gorgeous mountain range. It's describing. Mount Rushmore shows 4 U.S. presidents. I am happy I drove here. So, we're looking for the part of the sentence that describes the noun or the pronoun, right? So, if we find some nouns, then that will help us find our adjectives. So, Colorado has a gorgeous mountain range. So a mountain range is a group of mountains. So it's being described as gorgeous, as beautiful. It is describing it. So I'm using my green marker here, and maybe that'll help you remember. You know, green is a color, and it connects to describing things. When you describe something or use an adjective, you use colors, or you use what something looks like in appearance. For the second example, Mount Rushmore shows 4 U.S. presidents. Well, this is describing the number of presidents that you see on Mount Rushmore. So that's another descriptor for your adjective. So your adjective is 4. Mount Rushmore shows 4 U.S. presidents. On the first one, Colorado has a gorgeous mountain range. So the adjective we know is gorgeous. It's describing the mountain range. 4 is describing Mount Rushmore. The third example here, I am happy I drove here. I am happy. Happy is describing the noun, the pronoun. I am happy. I is the pronoun, which we learned last time is replacing the noun. So adjectives also describe emotions. They describe all kinds of things. Adjectives are great words because they make our stories and our reading so much more colorful. So those are adjectives. Well, our next word group is adverbs. The adverbs describe a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So we talked about adjectives last time describing nouns. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or another adverb. Now, I know may seem a little confusing, so we're going to look at some examples, and then we're going to do another little bit of examples because this gets a little more in-depth. But I know you can do this, so don't give up, okay? So here's the example. That cake looks good. The adverb here is good. Why? Because it is describing or modifying looks, the verb, not the cake. The adverb good is describing what the cake looks like. It looks good. We don't know what the cake tastes like, but we know what it looks like. So looks is the verb that good, the adverb, is describing. So let's look at another example. The tour group followed excitedly. So we're looking for verbs or adjectives or adverbs, but we're just going to stick with verbs right now. In this sentence, we know that verbs, we learned, those are action words. So followed is the action word in this sentence, right? So we found the verb. Now, excitedly is describing the action. The tour group is following, they're excited. You've been in an exciting tour group before, right? So this word excitedly is an adverb that's describing the verb follow or followed, okay? It's not describing the noun, this noun phrase tour group, or group actually. So, next example. My elderly neighbor seems well. So, we're not looking for nouns here. We're looking for verbs for the adverb to describe, to modify, right? My elderly neighbor. Well, we've got neighbor here. Elderly is not a noun. Seems is a verb. So seems is being modified or described with this adverb well. She seems well. Okay? So seems is the verb and well is the adverb. Well is what's describing the verb. Now, we're going to go to a new board here in a second that will give you a list of a lot of adverbs. So don't become too discouraged in just this part here. I hope that helps. But before we go there, I'm going to remind you again that adverbs answer the questions how often, when, and where. If you can remember these questions, adverbs are usually helping us understand what's going on there with some action in a sentence. Okay? How often, when, and where. I said I'd remind you, but I just told you. So now I'm reminding you again, and I'll remind you in just a moment. So, continuing with the word group adverbs, we said that if you can use the questions how often, when, and where, you're going to be able to find out where the adverb is in the sentence that you're looking at or listening to. Remember, we said adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Okay? It's important to remember. Now, if we start with how, adverbs answer the question how. We often see that adverbs have ly at the end, which is great. It's one of the nice consistent things about English, although you'll see some more without ly. But if you see a word that has ly, generally it's an adverb. So How? Well, easily. You can speak English easily. You can speak English happily, or loudly, or quickly, or quietly, or sadly. Now you can't do it silently. I guess you could do it in your head, or slowly. So those are describing the action of speaking something, okay? And how is that going? Are you doing it easily or loudly or quickly? Things like that. The next question is how often? Adverbs answer the question how often. Always, every day, frequently, never, often, once, seldom, sometimes. And this is just a short list, okay? But this kind of answers that question. How often? How and how often? For our verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. When? After? Before? When? Early? Now? Since? Soon? Today? Yesterday? So when? When did the action take place? Or when did something else happen in the sentence? And then where? Adverbs answer the question where. Away, everywhere, here, home, inside, near, outside, there. So you will see these words, particularly some of these, and you will think, well, isn't that another word group, another part of speech in English? Well, it depends upon what it's describing in the sentence. So I hope that helps you. And so that is a summary of adverbs. I recommend you maybe take a screenshot of this. This is not my original list, but you can take a screenshot of it and maybe look for these words in sentences when you read, and then you can see how these words are being used and if they are being used as adverbs. Okay. Conjunctions. Conjunctions join words and phrases or clauses. They're connectors. They're like puzzle pieces. So let's look at a couple examples. We traveled by train and by bus. The and connects the train and the bus. Okay? I paid a deposit because I wanted to reserve a room. You can go to the museum or go to the park. Other common conjunctions are but, for, nor, yet, so, because, while, until, although, and if. There's a lot of connecting going on in language, right? Now the question you might have is, should you begin a sentence with a conjunction since they're connecting ideas, clauses, words, or phrases? Well, this is a bit debated. My response to that would be save your usages of conjunctions for the beginning of a sentence when you really want to be emphatic. For example, if you say, but I paid a deposit, so I should get this room, if you didn't get the room. But usually you would use conjunctions in the inside of sentences. At least that's just the safest way to do that. So, to review, a conjunction is words that join words or phrases or clauses. So, and here is joining train and bus. They're actually joining by train and by bus. They're joining these two prepositional phrases, which we will talk about. But so that is the function of the conjunction. I paid a deposit because I wanted to reserve a room. You see, this conjunction is important. It explains why, but it also just connects these ideas. And the last one, you can go to the museum or to the park. Gives you a couple options there. So there's little words that do a lot of describing, and they're words you need to know if you want to understand English and if you want to be understood when you speak English. So I would recommend going online, finding a list of conjunctions and seeing how they function, how they work in sentences when you use them or when you read them. Okay? Oh, can you guess our seventh word group? It's prepositions. So, prepositions show the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another part of the sentence. It hooks, okay? This is a hook. They hook nouns onto a sentence. They're great. I love prepositions. The luggage bin, here's an example. The luggage bin on an airplane is above my head. So, the preposition here, there's two. On an airplane and above my head. Well, on is the preposition and above is the preposition. It describes the relationship of the noun or pronoun to another part of the sentence. Another example. The ferry boat ticket is on the table. It's on the table. On is the preposition. We walked across the square. It showed the relationship of the elements in the sentence to one another. The best way I can explain this, or has been explained to me, is with a scarf, or you can think of a belt for you guys, if you don't wear scarves. A scarf can be around me, around my neck. Around is a preposition. It can be over my head. It can be on my head. It can be in between my fingers. It can be near me. It can be beside me. It can be below me. So it's just a spatial thing. So that's what a preposition is. Prepositions, hopefully you can see, prepositions don't work alone. They can't just be on or above. They have to be on something or above something or near something. So, as an example, if I put my book in a suitcase, the preposition is in, and the book is in the suitcase. Now, in a second, I'll show you this idea of a prepositional phrase, because you can't really just have a preposition. They don't like to be alone. In fact, they can't be alone. Prepositions need nouns around them. So we'll look at some prepositional phrases, okay? We talked about prepositions. And prepositions show where things are. But they're always connected to a noun. So I talked about my scarf. The noun is the scarf. It's a thing, right? And the scarf is over my head. The noun, the scarf, is over the preposition my head, which is another noun. So they're connected to nouns. And they don't work alone. We talked about that, right? They need to have some friends nearby, creating a prepositional phrase. They work in a group of words, and you can identify them all the time. Remember, they're hooking nouns onto a sentence. So we need prepositions to hook the noun onto the sentence. A prepositional phrase begins with a preposition and ends with a noun. Like I said earlier, I put my book in the suitcase, okay? I put my book in the suitcase. So if it begins with the preposition, in is the preposition, the suitcase is the noun. And so this entire phrase, in the suitcase, is a prepositional phrase. Another example, can you think of one? It's another way we use to be more descriptive in our speech, in our writing. I took notes during the lecture. Maybe you went to a lecture on some place that you traveled to. During the lecture. During the lecture is the prepositional phrase. During is a little bit harder to understand because it's not a spatial idea, but it is a time concept. So during the lecture, during is a preposition. So that's just a brief explanation of prepositional phrases. So I hope that helps you identify them when you see them in writing or speaking. Well, our eighth part of speech in English is interjections. So interjections are used to express strong emotions, right? This person's mad, or really sad, or really happy. Strong emotions. For example, rats! I hurt my foot. Or, great work, we won! Or, excuse me, I need to catch my plane. So they're expressing intense emotions. Another group of words that fall under the category of interjections might be ahem, meaning I want to speak now, or good grief, kind of frustration, or even bless you after you sneeze, or sometimes we say bingo, meaning you got it right, bingo. So these are just words that are used to express strong emotions. And I want to interject, congratulations! You've just finished the video that talks about the 8 parts of speech in the English language. Good job! I want to thank you for watching, and if you like this video, hit subscribe and leave a comment below.